it's important that we understand that as the world is going right now, the tool you have in your hand, which is your mobile phone, has become a very, very important tool for filmmaking. And mobile filmmaking is one of the things that is in vogue right now. And that's why we're able to give you the best practices so that you don't just wait for the camera, for it to have the biggest and the best camera. You can make great films and great, beautiful content with what you have in your hand, which is the mobile phone. So wanted to share my slide so that everybody can see the slide and we can progress with it. You can be sure that this is going to be a very interesting class. And we show you the different practices, how you could actually create beautiful content using your mobile phone. So the next 1 to 2 hours, you guys should join me so that we explore the world of mobile filmmaking, because it's quite important. And before I start, how many of you have been able to do a film or record a content or a skit with a phone? Let me even see my audience. You have been able to record a skit with your phone before. Just a creative content, not just shooting a video or recording an event that's happening in your house. Maybe create a content, a skit or a commercial with your phone. If you have done that before, please let me know in the comment section, and we can actually come to see how your experience was, and we can now be able to discuss ways to make it better. If you have ever done that before, you will find that this training to be very important, because it will teach you all the things you need to do to improve your content creation using the mobile phone, right? Because the mobile phone right now is a very powerful tool. Like I always say, the mobile phone, as we have it now, is more powerful than the camera that was used in shooting Charlie Chaplin, right? How many of you know the content Charlie Chaplin, right? If you have known the content Charlie Chaplin, you will notice that the camera you use now for shooting films, the camera on your phone, is much has a higher resolution, is stronger, it is better than the camera that was used in shooting Charlie Chaplin. But the funny thing is that till today, we all still enjoy Charlie Chaplin. So the question is, how do you make those contents? How do you shoot such a way that people can enjoy it, right? These are the things that we are going to explore in this class, okay? So let's move on right away. We are discussing the mobile film making techniques and best practices. And since you all can see my slides, I will move on so that we could actually have this. Before I move on, I think some people are on the charts. Let me see the number of persons who have been able to shoot content. Okay, let's move on. Okay. So we are discussing today the mobile filmmaking techniques and best practices. So first of all, every day millions of videos are uploaded online, right? Every day you see millions of videos that are uploaded online. The question is, how many of them grab your attention and hold it, right? The difference is not just the camera, it is the technique. And it's this technique that we are about expounding today, right? The phone in your pocket has the power to shoot films, skits, documentaries, and viral content, right? But what separates ordinary phone video from cinematic mobile films are the techniques, your framing, and the movement, the light, and the sound. How do you make all this happen? These are quite important. So this is what we all need to know how to make happen, right? And in making it happen, well, before we know how to make it happen, we need to understand what is mobile filmmaking, right? We all have phones. So when we talk about mobile filmmaking, I know so many things come to your head, right? But for the first time, let's define it properly. Mobile filmmaking is the practice of planning, shooting, editing films primarily with your smartphone or tablet, while applying filmmaking principles that also apply to bigger cinema cameras, right? So it is you understanding the fundamentals of filmmaking. And once you understand the fundamentals of filmmaking, you can now know how to apply these fundamentals in just using your phone to shoot a creative content, right? So it is important we understand this because with our phone, we have limitless number of things we can do and the limitless number of content we can shoot with it, right? So the fundamentals of filmmaking still apply. The phone is not just magic because great mobile film still depend on the same fundamentals as traditional filmmaking. The story, the shot design, the lighting, sound, blocking, and editing. So creating a professional work starts with planning, your shot list, your location scouting, your rehearsal, and good lighting. So you could see all these are quite involved in making sure that you have your content, right? So for the content to be powerful and to be impactful, you need to be able to apply the different filmmaking fundamentals. It's quite important. We cannot run away from it. Now, but also, mobile filmmaking has its own strengths and limitations. And while we encourage everyone to make do with whatever you have, if you have your phone, you can start with the phone, right? If you have a camera, you can start with your camera. Start with the equipment you have in creating content. Don't wait till you buy the next black magic before you can start creating content, right? You should be able to create content using what we have. So when we look at the mobile filmmaking, we say it has its own strengths. First strength is portability and low setup time. When we say it's portable, means you can carry it, you can carry it to anywhere easily, right? Just a phone, you can just put it in your pocket, and even some of your gears, you can just put it in their pocket and take it to anywhere you want to be. And it's easy to do that, right? It also have low setup time, right? Very, very low setup time. It's important that we understand that you can, in very, very few minutes, you can set it up, right? And right now, you see that with higher end phones like Apple phones, 16 Pro Max, you have 4K recording, right? It has also slow motion, and they also have internal stabilization. So if it's being shaky, your camera is shaking, right? It uses AI to stabilize it for me, right? And right now it has what? Multiple lenses, right? And that are discrete in small spaces. So you see the situation where you have a camera with 6 lenses at the back. So you can decide the particular lens you want to shoot, right? And it also supports different frame rates. So you can shoot in 24 frames per second, 25 frames per second, 30 frames per second, and even 60 plus frames per second, right? So all these are supported on modern phones, right? But in as much as it has its own strengths, it also do have its own limitations. One of the limitations is it has a smaller sensor, which makes it harder when you are shooting in low light condition. When we say low light conditions, we are shooting in places where there is no strong light. You will notice that it's very, very difficult to work with, right? Then it has also less natural background separation. It is difficult to also separate the background when you are using a phone to shoot. Then the onboard audio lags behind. When you compare with dedicated camera, the onboard audio always lags behind, right? And if you have to improve the audio, you need external microphones, right? So they are the single best audio upgrade that you can have. So we have looked at the strengths and the weaknesses of this. In as much as it has its own strengths and its own weaknesses, right? What should be the correct mindset while if you are trying to move into mobile filmmaking? The correct mindset is that you need to understand that a phone can absolutely produce professionally looking films, but only when you control the image and audio delivery. You need to put in a whole lot of effort to actually make it to appear professional, right? Mobile camera applications provide essential controls, such as frame rate, shutter angle, ISO, white balance, histogram, and audio level. The problem is that most people don't even attempt going to the manual settings of their camera, of their phone camera, right? Your phone camera do have manual settings. You can set the frame rate, the shutter angle, the ISO, the white balance, and even have histograms to control the different aspects of the image. But the question is, do you know how to use it? And do you know even when to use it, right? So only a smartphone does not make you a filmmaker, right? What makes you a filmmaker is the deliberate technique that you employ in shooting and editing your videos. That's what will make you a filmmaker. So that should be the correct mindset you should have when it comes to mobile filmmaking, right? So before, if you have to shoot a film with a mobile phone, you need to start with your what? Pre-production. We have explained pre-production quite enough, right? We have been able to explain what it entails, right? So before you think about your lens, your app, your gimbal, you must think about the story first. And remember last week, we discussed extensively on how to write a good story for shooting, which is the vertical shots, right? We explain how to do your hooks every 2 seconds and everything. So your story comes first, right? You need to be able to focus on developing a brief, your story brief, a storyboard, a script, and a short list. We also discussed short list on Monday, which is the last lesson. So if you want to also take your time to look at short list, you can always go to the recorded video of last lesson and watch it. And also remember that this slide, as we have it, this presentation and this training is available on the Lean School app, right? You can always go to the Lean School app, download this particular presentation and follow along so that as I'm speaking, you are reading from your phone. You can even read ahead of me and also be ready to ask me further questions. So you can take your time, go to the Lean School app, download this particular presentation as we have it now, and follow along if you want. So, as I said, pre-production is quite important. You must make your preparations, make sure you have a tight story. So, and a tight story that is filmable, that you can film. Because you can create all the stories in the world, but the question is it filmable, right? So that is where you start. Because a weak mobile film fails because the maker might be excited about cinematic shots, but has no clear dramatic words intention. So it's important you have a clear dramatic intention. Okay. So we always say start with the story, not the camera tricks. We need to hammer this into your head. Start with the story, not the camera tricks, right? Define what the story is all about. Who is your central character? Who is the story about, right? What do they want in the story? Your character, what do they want? What are they looking for? What are the things they are pushing for, right? Then you should also check about the obstacle, what stopped them, what's the conflict, right? It's important. And what are the changes, what transformation, both physical and emotional, that has happened in the story, right? So it is important that you start with your story. It is so important. We are hammering this. That is why we also spend 2 weeks teaching you guys about story, because we understand that even if you can watch the Charlie Chaplin, the silent films, because they have good stories, right? But they have bad camera. They don't even have audio dialogue. So, but you still watch, enjoy them because they have quite a good story. Okay. The next thing, if you have a good story, is that you need to go able to what? Prepare your smartphone for what? Some people actually just taking their phone and go to start shooting without preparing what? Their smartphone. You must clean the lens, because this is no longer a joke. Fingerprints and dots reduces the sharpness of your shot. So clean your lenses. After you have cleaned your lenses and make sure that your lens is clean, please check your storage space. Producing high quality videos fills storage fast. You should know that, right? If you are shooting high quality videos, it's always produce high volume of megabytes that will fill your storage fast. So make sure you check the proper storage space you have. Then you clear, if you don't have enough space, you clear space before you start shooting, right? Also do the proper settings. Set your proper resolution and frame rate, right? Lock your settings before shooting. It's quite important, right? Another thing you must do is to enable grid lines and airplane mode. You don't want a situation where you are shooting and a call comes in. Because it seems like we keep repeating this thing, but this always happens when people are shooting. That's defining that they're amateurs. You have to make sure you enable grid lines. And when we say enable grid lines, we know what we are saying. When we come to the root of thought, right, and composition, you will understand why we say we should enable grid lines, right? Okay. Apart from that, we also need to understand your accessories, right? Because there are different mobile phone accessories. That is important. So while you are going, you need to be able to look at the different accessories that you can go with. Your tripod, which helps hold the phone steady. Your smartphone mount, which you attach your phone securely to the tripod and rigs, right? And this include like your universal clamps, your cold shoe mount, and your rotating mount. Then your motorized gimbals, right? Which are stabilizers that helps you for smooth shots. Now, it is quite important that we understand this, right? Because these are the different tools that we will require to capture both cinematic shot and get the things we want done, right? So if we look at gimbals, right? The first question people ask me is, what's a gimbal? Look at the picture by your left in this. If you are looking at this slide, you can see that the guy is holding something, right? That that mount is holding, that the camera is mounted on, it's called a gimbal. So a gimbal is a stabilizer that compensates for what? Hand movement and keep the camera level during walking shots, tracking shots, and action scene, right? This results in very smooth and professional camera motion. It is quite important. If you are doing walking shots, if you are doing tracking shots, if you are doing action scenes, that you should have what? Gimbal, right? It's not that you cannot do it with hand. If without a gimbal, you can still do a tracking shot. The only thing is that sometimes it will not be shaky, or you might now need to remove the shakiness, right, from doing editing. So doing editing, yes, you might remove it, but what we always advise is that you actually shoot as possible so that it becomes easy to edit, right? So remember to always get a gimbal. Gimbal is one of the most important equipment if you are going to do mobile filmmaking. Okay, so let's move on. Now, also, another accessory that you should not forget is what? Your lighting accessory. It is quite important. And there are always three lighting up accessories that you should always not forget. But it's not a must you carry all of them. Your LED panel lights, right? These are small, powerful lights used to illuminate subjects and dramatically improve the shots. One beautiful thing is that about lighting is that if I'm asked what is the most important element to create a dramatic shot or a beautiful cinematic shot, right? If I'm supposed to just choose one, I will choose lighting. Just lighting is magical when you do it right. You can create the best cinematic shots you available just with proper lighting. If I'm supposed to choose poor lighting and powerful camera versus good lighting and cheap camera, I would choose good lighting and cheap camera, because with good lighting you could always produce a very cinematic shot. Another one there is what? Your ring lights. Right? Another one is what? Your ring lights. Your ring lights is also quite important, right? Because your ring lights can be used for vlogs, interview, head videos, and it creates flattering illumination, right? Another important lighting equipment is your pocket LED light. Your pocket LED light is a very handy light that you can always use, right? Add it to your filming kit, it always helps. If it is very perfect for you to just point and shoot. So add your pocket LED light as to your lighting accessories, right? Now, after you have your lighting accessories, you can now go on to a higher ones, which is like the clip-on lenses, which you can add to your phone camera, and the neutral density filters. The clip-on lenses are lenses you can clip onto your smartphone cameras, right? This includes the wide lens, which will capture more environments, or the macro lens that creates the extreme close-up, or also the telephoto lens, right, for distant objects, or the anamorphic lens. These are different clip-on lenses that you can have. And there is something also we call the neutral density filter, right? which reduces the light entering the camera. This is useful in bright outdoor conditions. So if you are shooting in maybe in a very bright Sunday, right, you can use an ND filter to reduce the amount of light that is coming into the camera. They allow you as a filmmaker to maintain the correct exposure and also achieve cinematic motion blur and control brightness without changing other camera settings. So these are some of the very necessary accessories you need to have. So moving on, let's look at the rig. How are you supposed to now rig your equipment? You need to have your filmmaking rig, and these are the cages that hold your phone mount, your microphone, your light handles, and monitor, right? You should also have power bank, right? If you are to film, do a professional film using the phone, you should have a power bank because filming consumes battery quickly. So a power bank enables what? Longer shooting sessions and reliable outdoor workflow. It is important, right? You should also have your storage device, which, because we have already said that filming consumes high storage of your phone. So put having your storage devices, use portable SSD drives, memory backup systems, or even what? Cloud storage to prevent data loss. Also, another good thing to use is your reflectors. Bounce light, reflectors help you bounce light to subjects inexpensively, right? You have the white, the soft light, the silver reflectors, even the golden reflectors that give you the warm tones, right? It also helps soften shadows, right? And enhance skin tones. It's important you have some of these as part of your accessories for filming. Let's move on. So let's look at how it looks like at the beginner level. At the beginner level, you just need a smartphone, a mini tripod, plus your phone clamp, plus your lavalier mic, right? And a small LED light. On the intermediate kits, right, you can now add what? Your gimbal stabilizer, plus your smartphone rig, plus your wireless microphone, your clip-on lenses, plus your ND what? Filters. On the professional level, if you want to do a cinema quality, you need a cinema quality camera app, plus your full lighting kit, right? Your smartphone cage, external monitor, and portable storage. These are the 3 levels. The first level, your beginner kit, your intermediate kit, and your professional kit, right? But one of the key lessons we always emphasize is that what? Accessories do not replace what? Storytelling. They enhance the technical quality, right? And portability, which your phone affords you, affordability, because your phone is affordable, and creativity is what makes what? The mobile filmmaking powerful. So mobile filmmaking is powerful because of what? Portability, affordability, and what? Creativity. If you combine these 3, you have something that is undefeated level. Okay? Now you know how to, you have your accessories. So the next thing is knowing what? Your camera. Like we said, modern phones offer powerful manual controls, but only if you know how to what? Use them. You need to be able to understand frame rates, as we said earlier, resolution, exposure, white balance, and line selection. These are what separate what? Intentional filmmakers from accidental ones. These are also what separates professionals from amateurs. And remember, we are training you to become a professional. So we expect that you know all this. Now, let's go to frame rates, right? Frame rate is the number of frames recorded per second. Let me break this down a little bit, right? There is nothing called, there is a reason why movies are called motion pictures. It is called motion pictures because they are plainly pictures. Any video you see are just pictures that are shot 24 times least, right? They are showing you 24 pictures in a second. If you show the human eye 24 pictures in a second, the human eye will be able to interpret it as a smooth motion, right? So if you are to shoot, and the number of frames, number of pictures you are showing, each picture is called a picture frame. So when they say number of frames per second, the correct word is number of individual picture frames per second, right? So for each second, if you are to show a classic cinematic film, you will show 24 picture frames per second. Now, this is best for what? Narrative mobile filmmaking. You can also go for what? 25 frames per second. This is common if you are in what we call the PAL region. There is a format called PAL, right? Where if you are where it is accepted at 25 frames per second. If you also want for a smoother online video, you can shoot at 30 frames per second, right? If you move from the 30 frames per second to what? 60 frames per second, you are shooting slow motion. So if you want to shoot a slow motion, you change the manual setting to 60 frames per second. Now, if you go to your phone right now, go to the settings, you will see a place where you see the manual settings. The manual settings, you'll be able to select the frames per second. If you go to 120 or 240 frames per second, then you are now going to what? To the super slow motion, right? The super slow motion is at that what? 120 or 240 frames per second, right? But it is not all devices. Most phones will not support 240 frames per second, right? So the best tool is that for narrative mobile filmmaking, start with what? 24 frames per second, unless you have a clear reason not to. And the truth is that 24 frames per second is the default settings already on your phone. So you don't need to do any other thing to achieve 24 frames per second. Also, you need to understand resolution, right? Now, when they ask you what's the resolution are you shooting in, there are different resolutions. There are 480 resolution, 720 resolution, 1080p resolution, or even 4K, right? Now, as these resolutions keep going up, you notice that the storage is taking will also keep going up. So you can actually take what's for older, if you have a smaller storage or lower or older phone, you can use 1080p, right? Resolution. It works. And also another thing you need to understand is that the higher quality codecs is required if you take a higher resolution, right? It takes much more storage and you need to do your backup planning for that. Now, there are phones like the iPhone 16 Pro Max that can shoot in 4K. So not all phones can shoot in 4K. The latest Samsung Galaxy phones can also shoot in 4K. So if they can shoot in 4K, you can imagine why you are not creating things with your phone. Also, another part you need to know is the exposure, right? Most phones have what we call the auto exposure. Auto exposure means that they are changing the ISO of the phone based on what they if the scene is dimly lit or if it's well lit. But if you are going to shoot a cinematic shot, you won't want to be on auto what ISO. You need to what have a fixed what ISO. So you must know how to what change it. Now, if you go to your phone, you will see and go to the manual settings, you will see ISO, right? Because there is different phones. Everyone have different phones, so we won't be able to show you how to change it in all the phones. But if you go to the ISO, it starts from 100 and ends at 6,400. And the more you increase the ISO, the more light comes into the picture. But also, the more grainy the picture will become if there is no light. So instead of increasing the ISO most of the time, we always tell you to get your lighting, light the scene properly so that you don't have to depend on a higher ISO to have a white image. The next one is what? The white balance. The white balance controls how warm or cool the image looks, right? And this affects the different skin tones, right? So if you don't control the white balance, you might do 2 shots or 3 shots with different feel. Some will look warm, some will look cool. So you must always learn how to control the white balance. Always lock white balance settings before recording so that it is not on auto, right? Okay. Now let's move on to shutter and lens selection, right? You must be able to choose your shutter behavior. Professional looking motion depends on the shutter behavior, not just only the frame rate. The shutter angle settings are crucial because motion blur effects. Because why is very crucial to set your shutter angle? Because with shutter angle determines the motion blur, right? If you are shooting as being a character is running and you are shooting, if you choose the wrong shutter behavior, you might create motion blur. Or if you want a sharp shot, so it is important that you choose your correct shutter speed and shutter behavior, right? And this will also help you know how to keep that shutter behavior consistent across every scene you are shooting, right? You should also know how to select the proper camera lens. We always advise for the best quality, always use your rear camera at all time because it is what was made for cinematic shots, not your front camera. Your front camera is for a selfie most of the time, right? Now, you must also know when to use different types of lenses. You use your ultra wide lens only when you need space, right? Then also avoid excessive digital zoom. It is not always good. Instead of you to zoom, take your phone closer to the subject. That's what is always advised. Avoid excessive digital zoom. Then only use the front camera when the story requires it, right? Then also use your camera lock to prevent switching during recording. Now, these are all the things you need to get to know before you start. And how, now you have learned to start, we are now in the part 3. How do you now frame your shot? Because it's quite important you understand how you can frame your shot properly. Because framing shot is one integral and a very important part. If you don't frame the shot quite well, you will not get the kind of feel and picture that you deserve. So we must learn how to frame our shots very well. And that brings us to composition. Composition is the art of arranging what appears in your frame, right? It is the difference between a random shot and a cinematic one. And it's always intentional what? Composition, right? And three foundational tools comes to play here. The first one is the rule of third, the leading line, and what? Your short size, right? And here I will, let's go into it. What is the rule of third, right? Almost everything has third, the rule of three, rule of third. Like composition involves dividing the frame into 9 equal parts and placing the subject along those lines. I will explain how it is. Then I will go to the next slide, then come back to this so I will see how it's been applied. Now let's take this picture for each slide. This is what we are discussing. You have divided the scene into 9 equal parts, and we are placing the subject at the intersection of this, because these are the intersections. The green circles are the intersection of the picture of the grid we have just formed, right? Now, if we understand they are, right, we said put the eyes or the object in the top, in the third line, then place subject at those 2 lines. If you look at those 2 lines, yeah, this is where we are placing the eye at the intersection of those 2 lines. Is where we are placing the subject, the eyes. And we are placing the subject at the third, and now we are placing it at the second line here. These 2 lines. Right? But this explains composition quite well. This explains composition. And we must, if we are composing our shots, we must understand that composition is quite important. And the rule of third always apply. This is what also separates cinematic shots from amateur shots. Because if you really understand composition, it becomes so easy to compose a shot and make it look fantastic. The next this thing we are looking at is the leading line. The leading line is natural lines within your shots, like roads, corridors, fences that leads to your subject. It's quite important that we understanding leading lines, because in every shot, if you have leading lines, it becomes so easy to direct the eye to where you want them to go. So it is important that we understand leading lines. And apart from leading line, you have the shot size. What spaces are you leaving on the top and the bottom of your shots, right? What spaces are you having so much headroom or small headroom? It is quite important that we get this thing to bear, because you understanding this will help you make sure that every shot is well defined, right? And a well-composed shot makes it always beautiful to the eye. A very well composed shot is always beautiful to the eye, and we need to be able to understand that. Okay. Then the next other thing is what?
Before you buy the natural healing handbook,
clean framing.
I have to be honest. I was totally wrong about this book. I called it a herbal book for weeks, but it's not that at all. It's
right?
actually a
You must do clean what?
book that shows you exactly.
Your clean what? Clean framing. Your framing has to be clean, right? No too much headroom, messy background. One of the things you have to also understand is that your background, the background you're about to shoot, you as a filmmaker have the right to arrange it, right? You don't just come and start shooting. You arrange what you want to see, right? So if you arrange it quite well, it will become so easy for everybody to take. But if you don't arrange it, it becomes messy. So don't do a messy shot. Take your time to arrange all your background so that it's not going to be what? Messy, right? Okay. Okay, let's move on. Okay. Okay. Let's move on. Now we are going to move on to camera movement. This is one of the key parts of and the most beautiful part of mobile filmmaking, because you have a camera that is so portable. It creates a space where you can actually maneuver as much as possible. And that is the best part of a mobile photograph. But before I even go to, I want us to watch a video, right? So that we could appreciate the composition. So I will show you guys a video right now. I'll switch to a video so we can understand, take our time to watch this. I'll also send the link to the video on the distance so that we can understand composition better. So we are going to do 9 photo composition tips. It's the same thing with your mobile phone, right? So hope everybody can see. If you can see you before I play it now, you could just indicate. Just tell me you can't see it. You can see it, right? I'll play it. So you see 9 photo composition tips so that we could actually appreciate composition better. Okay. Can you see the video right now? If you can see it, let me know. Let me be sure I'm doing the right thing. Okay, fine. So let's play it. He's explaining leading lines right now. You can see how the lines are leading, how we're using the road to show the different leading lines. You see how another composition rule is using diagonals. how diagonals create movements. You see how he's using the diagonals, right? While he's doing his composition. Now he's going to use natural framing, like windows and doors. You see how it's creating beautiful effects by using natural framing, right? These are different composition rules. Also fill the frame. Get the subject close as much as possible. Then learn to centralize the dominant eye.
Important, but also rules are meant to be broken. So the main point is to enjoy yourself while you're photographing and photograph in your own way, your own style.
Okay. Well, we have seen this. Okay. Okay. We have seen how we have watched the video on composition. I hope it made a lot of sense. If you enjoyed the video on the composition, please, you can give a round of applause to Steve and his team that actually did that video. And it is, I will also send the link to the video on, I'll send the link to the video on the group chat so that we all can always watch the video whenever you want, right? So now we are going to look at camera movement. How do you move the camera? All right, so I'm sending the sending the link on the chat. So if you're on the chat, you will see the link to the video so that you can always watch it if you want. Now we are looking at the camera movement, right? So when do you move the camera and when you don't move the camera, right? Camera movement is one of the most powerful tools a filmmaker can use to make a scene feel alive and emotionally engaging, right? However, movement must be intentional because random movement make videos look amateurish. Good camera movement always serves a story purpose. That's the key. Before you move your camera, you must ask yourself, what do you want to achieve? What story purpose is the movement going to serve? Right? And you understanding that will help you make the right movement. But before you just make the movement, you have to also understand, ask yourself, is that, can it also be static shots? Because most of the time, static shots are what? Underrated. Many beginners think that cinematics means that everything has to keep moving. It's not true. Static shots often feel more confident and more professional than unnecessary movements, right? If the movement is not necessary, static shots, it's unnecessary moving pictures. So you use movement only when it does one of the three things. It reveals a new information, increases emotion, or follows important action. Example, if moving the camera reveals a new information, use movement. If, for instance, somebody is about to cry and you take the camera close to the face, right? That's what the movement does. It's important because it increases the emotion. Or it follows an important action. When somebody is moving and you are using the camera to track the person's movement. If the movement does not add meaning, the camera should remain what? Still. Is important. If the movement does not what? Add any meaning, the camera should remain still. And another thing also we should learn as we are moving is that we should learn, we shouldn't always shoot at what? Eye level. This is one of the mistakes amateur creators do most of the time. They take the camera and they shoot at eye level, right? When we say at eye level means you just hold it at your eye level and you are shooting. No, it is not naturally visually boring when you shoot at eye level, right? But it's not at every angle, every shot. It's not like you cannot use shooting at eye level, but you can't be shooting all your shots at eye level because it will be visually what? Boring. It also removes power dynamics, right? If you shoot at high angle, right, it makes your character to look weak. If you are shooting someone at high angle and you want to make the person look weak, you shoot at high angle, the person will look weak. But if you shoot at low angles, it makes the person appear what? Powerful. So constant eye level shooting removes the essential storytelling cues, right? It also reduces dramatic what? Tension. Right? If you want to shoot a boss, right? And you want to make him appear dominant, right? You have to shoot what? At a low angle, as we are saying. And it will increase the dramatic what? Tension. But if you are framing only at eye level, it is boring. So learn when to use high angle and low angle as much as possible, right? That also, you also need variations. You need to vary your shots so that it is not boring and not wanted all the time. Variation creates dynamic shots and makes people want to watch longer. Okay. So best practice, mix your camera height. Eye level for natural neutral moments where you have equal conversation and realism. Low angle shot to show power and dominance or confidence. High angle shot to show vulnerability, weakness, or isolation. Then you now do close up what? And insert shots for emotional intensity and important what? Details. These are critical if you are to shoot for mobile, where audience can easily what? Scroll away. Because that's one of the things people don't understand. Audience can easily what? Scroll away if the video is consumed on a mobile phone. Okay, now let's look at the different types of camera movements. The first one we are going to look at is the pan. When we say pan the camera, it means that the camera rotates horizontally from left to right or from right to left while staying in position. This is used to show environments, reveal character, or follow moving objects. You have to also learn, whether you are if you are panning, you have to move what? Slowly. Then there is another one called what? The camera what? Tilt. The camera tilt, the camera moves what? Vertically up or down, right? While staying in position. This is used to reveal a character from feet to face, or show height or scale, or emphasize dramatic words, entrances, right? Then we have the next one called the push in or the dolly in. Here, the camera moves closer to the subject, right? Not digital zoom. Dolly in means that you physically move the camera closer to the subject, not that you zoom in. This is used to increase emotional intensity, highlight important moments, and build suspense. Another thing you must learn is that you have to move slowly and steadily. Another camera movement is the pull out or the dolly out. Here, the camera moves away from the subject. It shows isolation, reveals wider environment, or ends scenes dramatically. Also use slow movement for emotional scenes. Then we now have what we call the tracking shot. The tracking shot is where the camera moves with the subject as they walk or run. They are tracking the subject. This creates a massive storytelling, right? It works heel to toe smoothly. Then, but if you have to do a tracking shot, please use a stabilizer because it's difficult to achieve a tracking shot without a stabilizer, which can include your gimbal. We have also the orbit shot. Here, the camera moves in a circular motion around the subject. This creates a dramatic emphasis or enhances romantic moments. Example, when your two main characters are kissing, you can do this orbit shot and have your camera go 360 circular motion around them. We also have the reveal shots. This hides important information initially, then moves to reveal something important. You have to plan your reveal shots carefully and time the movement with dialogue or sound. Then handheld movement. This is when the camera is held directly without stabilization. That is, you will see that the camera is shaking. Sometimes you might be shooting and you're deliberate in making sure that the camera is shaking for it to create realism and urgency. This is for documentary style or for action scenes, right? There is this film, the Blair Witch Project, that use this shaky camera very well for their shots, and they made a whole lot of buzz when they produced the film. Well, any movement you want to do, you must know why you want to do that. You don't just wake up one morning and start creating all the movements and motions without knowing why you want to do that. It has to be motivated. That's the most important rule. The most important rule of camera movement is that it has to be motivated movements. Camera movement should only happen when there is a clear reason. Good reason include following the character movements, revealing new information, emphasizing emotional change, or showing a new environment. If movement does not add meaning, the camera should remain still. This is quite important. So, best practices for camera movement include: 1, move slowly. You must learn how to move slowly with the camera. Stabilize your camera, use tripod, gimbals, stabilizers, or a firm two-hand grip, right? Then also plan your movement before shooting, right? Camera movement should be rehearsed, not improvised. Rehearse your movements before shooting. Then avoid overusing movements. Then combine movement with storytelling. Movement should reflect the emotional shift in the scene. Okay, now we have looked at movement. Now, how do you stabilize, right? Because it is so easy to move this, you do this, do a pan or a tilt, but you need serious stabilization, right? One of the fastest way to make a video look professional or mature is what? The camera stability. The camera stability can make or mar you. So even with high-end smartphone, shaky footage immediately reduces the perceived production quality. Stabilization ensures that the camera remains steady, smooth, and controlled, allowing viewers to focus on the story. It is quite important that we understand how to use stabilizers and stabilization in our videos. Okay. So why does it really matter? Because stable shots makes the whole shot looks professional. It also helps the audience to focus on the performance, the story, and the composition, not the camera what shakes. It improves also the viewer's comfort. Shaky footage causes visual fatigue, right? Your eyes will be tired. Stable footage improves watch time, audience retention, and overall what viewing experience. It also makes for easier editing. You will find it easier to what edit the content that is not shaky. Then it also maintains what helps maintain what composition. You can now have your steady composition. It's not when your camera is shaky. At a point in time, some people will be in frame. Sometimes they will be out of frame. Sometimes their head will the part of their head will go out of frame. It is important that we stabilize our shots. Now, there are different types of stabilization. We have the tripod, the gimbal, the smartphone rig, the body control, then the OIS/EIS stabilization. We'll look at all this. Let's look at the physical and tripod stabilization. Right? If you are to use this technique is free and it requires no additional equipment. If you are going to use your body control, you hold your phone with both hands, you keep your elbows close to your body, bend your knees slightly when moving, and walk heel to toe to reduce vertical bounce. Note that this method is less stable for long takes or fast-paced movements, right? So you can hold your phone with two hands and do the shots yourself, but it is not always good for fast-paced movements, right? Then the tripod stabilization. A tripod holds the smartphone completely steady, right? It is the best choice for what? Dialogue scenes. If you are going to shoot dialogue scenes, please put your smartphone on a tripod. Or even in an interview, or you're going to do static storytelling, please put your phone on a tripod. But if your phone is on a tripod, which makes it quite stable, one of the things that happens is that it limits the camera movement, right? And it also requires additional setup time. Now, another way you can stabilize is you can use your gimbal, right? Gimbal stabilization uses electronic sensors and motors to compensate for hand movements. It is best for walking, tracking, and action scenes. It requires battery power and practice. For you to use a gimbal very well, you must practice and practice so that you can actually use it effectively. A gimbal is not something you just pick off the market and start using. You must practice using it, right? And use it effectively. Then we have the shoulder and the rig stabilization. These are mobile rig that hold the phone in frame with handles, right? And it supports the microphone, the light, and the monitors. If you look at the picture, you could actually see the mobile rig, right? It is more stable than holding the phone alone, though it's slightly heavier and less portable. So we should know that too. Now, let's also look, we have looked at stabilization. Let's look also at lighting. How can you light your scene properly, even if you are shooting with a phone? Right? Now, phone sensors are small, so lighting always matters, right? When you are shooting with a phone. So if you can light your scene properly, right? It's even if you shoot it with a phone, it always look better than even if you have an expensive camera to shoot a scene that is badly lit, right? The easy rule is fix the lighting before blaming the phone or the camera. Once you fix the lighting, most things will fall into shape. So always fix the lighting first. It's important. The very first thing you can use is use what? Soft light. And when it comes to soft light, the best you could use is your natural light, right? Your natural light, you could actually what? Shoot near a window, right? Use the window blinds, right? The curtains to have form as a form of filter to create a soft light. You could also shoot it in open shade or shoot during the golden hour, which is early morning or late what? Afternoon. One of the things you should always avoid is shooting what? In midday, especially now that the sun is very scorching. In this part of Nigeria, please avoid shooting during midday because you will have very high exposure and you can also create damages on your equipment. Now, also mixed lighting with different color temperature, right? So you don't just mix lighting with different color temperatures. Make sure that your lighting has one single color temperature, unless it's intentional, right? Unless it's intentional. Unless it is your storytelling. But always make sure that your lighting has one single color temperature, not different color temperatures. Now, let's look at the 3-point lighting. Now, if you are to light a scene, always ask for look at the 3-point lighting, which is your backlight, right? So your backlight, you should separate your subject from the background. Your key lights, right? So you should always have a key light in the scene, and you now have your background light, right? To lighten your background. So make sure you apply your 3-point lighting. Now we have looked at lighting. Let's look at what? Audio, right? Because audio is another aspect that some filmmakers forget. Because audio is so important because people will tolerate a slightly imperfect image, but they will not tolerate what? A bad sound. A bad audio is always a no-no in any production, right? A smartphone has improved picture, but the built-in smartphone audio still leaves much what to be desired. So you must always shoot with an external what? Microphone. Is so important, right? Because the external microphone is the single best way to improve your audio if you are shooting with the phone. So if you are shooting with the phone, make sure you have what? An external microphone. Now, these are the different microphones for mobile making. We have the lavalier mic, which are clipped to the clothing. These are best for interviews, dialogue scenes, and presentations where the subject stays relatively still. We have the compact, directional, or shotgun mics. These are mics that you can mount on your camera, and the directional mic also captures the sound from specific location. Those are the mics you actually put on the scene to capture the sound of the scenes. It is best for outdoor scenes and focus what? Audio. Then you also have the wireless microphone systems that allows what? The actors to move freely while recording clear audio. You have the different, this wireless microphones can also come as lavalier mics that you can clip on your actors, but it's wireless, so the actors can move freely, right? Then we have the direct USB-C lighting mic, right? So here you can have a microphone that you can plug to your USB-C type C of your phone to record audio. This is always for smaller productions. If you are going to do a filmmaking film, please get a proper directional mic to record your audio on set. Now, you also have to understand the different connection types, right? One of the critical warning is that if you have the best, even if you have the best mic with the wrong adapter, it might still fail. So you must understand how the adapter of each of the mic you are getting works. And always test your full audio chain before shoot, not doing it, right? Check your audio, do a trial shoot, and be sure that it all works before going on full production. So let's look at the basic sound rules. Get the mic close enough, right? Distance is the enemy of clean audio. The closer the mic, the better the signal to voice ratio, right? Monitor when possible. Use headphones to hear exactly what the mic is recording. Always use a headphone to hear what the mic is recording. Also, record room tone. Capture 30 to 60 seconds of the ambient silence for editing continuity. So always record the room sound. The essence of that is that even when you have bad audio, and you needed to record the audio inside your studio, for instance, you have the room ambient sound that you can now mix with the audio to make it look real. Always learn you need to always kill background noise. Turn off fans, generators, TVs, and music, and watch the reverbs in empty rooms. Empty rooms always have reverbs, so make sure you watch that also. Rule number 5 is never assume. Do not assume the device recorded what you think it recorded. Always review the audio after each take. So after each take, you do what? You review the audio. It is so important. So important. Now let's look at the shooting workflow on set, right? Because a strong on-set workflow separates professional mobile production from casual videos. Every step from lens cleaning to rolling a few seconds before action protects your footage and your time. So what are the shooting workflow? Let's look at the pre-roll checklist. The very first thing you need to do before you roll is clean your lens, lock frame weights and exposure. You lock the white balance. Also, you turn the phone on airplane mode, right? You also check the storage and battery and test sound. Once you have done all this, the next thing you are going to do is do what? You do rehearse. You rehearse what you are going to shoot. And after the rehearsal, you now roll 3 to 5 seconds before action. This is important that you roll 3 to 5 seconds before action, so that you get everything that you need to do and know everything is working well before action, right? Now, another thing you must do is your storage and backups, right? Is important. We always say this is a golden rule. Never finish a shoot with your footage in one place. When we say your footage in one place means after shooting, you must copy that footage into a backup device. It is so important, right? Because that singular place might get spoiled and you lose your entire footage, right? High quality recording means larger files. You need to prepare storage and backup while shooting. Use portable SSD drives, memory backup systems, or cloud storage to prevent data loss before it happens. Always backup. Now let's look at the key takeaways. Wow. The key takeaways from this class on mobile filmmaking is is story first. No technique you can ever create will replace a clear story with dramatic intention. Plan before you shoot. Control the image. That's another thing. Lock exposure, white balance, and frame rate. Never let the phone guess. Don't use auto. Lock them. Fix the lights. Lighting matters more on phones than on big cameras, right? And also learn that soft light wins. Upgrade your audio, right? External microphone is the single best investment you can make as a mobile filmmaker. Then if you are to move your camera, move with purpose. Every camera movement must serve the story. Even when in doubt, do stay still. When in doubt, stay don't move, stay still. Okay? Let's move on. Okay, I think we have come to the end of today's class. Let's now, and if it has been impactful and you have enjoyed the class, please let us know with a round of applause in both if you're on Zoom or on YouTube. Please let us know. Appreciate us with a round of applause, please. Okay. I think at this juncture, we will take your questions, right? If you have a question, please ask. I'm going to the chat box to see your questions. If you have questions, please ask in the comment section, right? Okay, Prince Ugwozo Chibozo is saying, can I shoot with iPhone X? You can. iPhone is a very powerful phone for shooting. So you can shoot with the iPhone, right? Deborah Wilcox say, can I download the Link School app on my iPhone? Yes, we are going to send a link. We're about doing the final distance, so you will have it on your iPhone. Yeah. Okay. If you are also on YouTube, you can also ask a question. Toshin iPhone is actually, please, is there a video class on light setup? Yes, we are doing, we'll actually send it across as we are going to this class, you will meet, when we reach cinematography, we are doing a video class on light setup. Okay. Timothy say, please, my consign is on the assignment. You are talking about your consign. Okay, your assignment, go to the Link School app, you see the assignments. The assignment will be there. Then Prince Hugo is saying, is there a free filming app you can There's not like a filming app. What you have is a camera, a better camera app for your phone. And whether you're on Android or on iPhone, there are different apps you can use, right? Okay. Then Victor Gwejofor is saying, what if you have to make a shoot outdoor during a sunny day? Now, if you are going to make a shoot outdoor during a very sunny day, you can use what we call the neutral density filters, the ND filters we mentioned earlier, right? If you put in it in your lens, it will help reduce the flare and the brightness, the lighting that is entering the camera. So that is where it works. So I hope I've answered your question. Then Timothy saying, how can I submit the app? I'm done with the quiz. Okay. Okay, you can always go to the Lane School app. You see the quiz, the assignments. Then Abel Olusegun is saying, how long can the LED panel sustain me when filming? Most of them last close to 3 to 4 hours, right? So it depends on the one you bought, right? But it lasts up to 3 to 4 hours. Then Abdul El Kadri saying, some of us missed the first lesson, but have watched it on YouTube. However, we could not complete the quiz and assignment because it is no longer available on the app. Please, the quiz and assignment is available on the app. If you go to the Link School app, if you go over there and click on the mobile filmmaking, you will see the quiz and assignments for Monday. You also see the quiz and assignments for today, right? Toshin is saying, is there a class on color grading? Yes, there will be a class that if you go to the Link School app and go to program overview, Mohammed Sani is saying, what are the best settings for recording on a smartphone? I think we have already given you accessories you need to get. If you look at the top slide of it, you see the different accessories from the beginner to intermediate to the professional level, so that you can actually start from the ones you have available. Okay. Okay. Stalicious is saying, please, is it going to be online class throughout? We said that we are going to run online class and we run physical workshops in different regions, right? But you can only join our physical workshop if you have attended the online class and participated in the quiz and assignments, because we are not going to start the teaching physical workshop, right? For people who will have to start explaining what frame rate is and things like that, right? We only want to run it for the people who have attended the classes, who were serious and things like that. So it's not for everybody. It is for people who have attended, done the assignment and their quiz. And if you go to the Link School app, you could also, there is leaderboard right now. If you click on your performance, you will see leaderboard and you can rate yourself, right? If I go to the Link School app, for instance, right now, I might be able to call out our top, do a shout out to the person who is on top, right, of the class. Let's take, for instance, mobile filmmaking right now. If I go over there now, and the leaderboard, in the leaderboard, I have Idike Chijindo, is the person who is on top of the class. And Paula Paulo is also on the top, and Abubakar Suleiman is on top. So we always want to make sure that people who have joined the class and who joined the physical workshops. Dan Labikeshi is saying, I'm from Taraba State, how can I join the physical class? We will fix the date for the physical workshop. It's workshop, it's a workshop. It's going to be a 1 day or 2 day workshop, where we teach you basically on the camera you are going to use. So all these things we have been discussing since, you will have that day to be able to shoot landscape, all those ones, use all your camera equipment to do all the things practically. right? So when we fix the date, we'll fix the date that is close to you, that you can come and attend, right? That's why we say it's in different regions. Ahmad Musa San is saying, should I shoot in landscape or portrait orientation? It depends on what you want to shoot, right? That will determine the story you want to shoot, will determine whether you're going to shoot it in landscape or portrait. So I cannot tell you shoot in portrait or shoot in landscape. Okay, Toshi is saying that they are using iPhone and still unable to download the app. Yes, there is consideration for people who are using iPhone who can't download it. But even if you can't, the Link School app is also available on desktop, so you can also use your desktop, right? So, is there any further questions? I think I've answered all the questions. Don't think there are further questions. Let me check on YouTube. Okay. There's no further questions here. Okay. Someone is saying, how do I know who those who are present? Yes, if you have a Link School app and you join from the Link School app, it will mark you present. So you can always check it out, right? So if you join any of this class from the Link School app, it will mark you present, right? That's how, but most importantly, whether you watch this recorded or not, right? Whether you watch the recorded video or not, if you are learning online, one of the most important things is to do your assignment and your quiz. That is what is so important, right? So at this juncture, I think I will have answered most questions, right? If you do your quiz and assignments, is marked as an attendance, because that is, even if you do your attendance and you didn't do your quiz and assignment, we don't consider it much, please, right? So at this point in time, somebody is saying is it a physical class in Bayelsa? When we have with the workshop in your region, it will most likely, we will have the workshop most likely in Port Harcourt. So you can join from Bayelsa in the workshop. So, and we will announce the different dates for the different workshops as the classes are going. Thank you. But stay online and learn it so that when you come over, you can practicalize. And when it comes to also like mobile film filmmaking, you can always use your phone to do what you're supposed to do, right? So at this juncture, I will call it an end. If you have enjoyed the class, please give us a round of applause. It will make us feel appreciated. And thank you guys for joining in, right? Thank you guys for joining in, and have a lovely weekend. Oh. Done.